mom came into the room and she's like, "Look at my phone," and then I couldn't see it, so I had to look at mine. I'm like, "Oh,
I can't bet against Tom Brady. I have the Bucks winning 31-27 and Tom Brady going to his 10th championship.
yeah." And I really think the Clippers' chance to win the championship was last year, and they were up 3-1 against the Denver Nuggets.
Chris Paul is one of the most underrated players of all time. He's been the best player wherever he goes, and that includes with the Rockets.
You said you can't bet against Tom Brady, and as a Cowboys fan and what I just did last weekend, I am not going to bet against Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl. I mean, that's all I can really say. There's two of the top 5 players in the league, and they're very, very good.
Hello, I'm Taylor Hearn, and you listen to The Outsiders' Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NBA Opinions of the Week. We're under the sun right now, and really putting pressure on Phoenix with Austin.
Yeah, they have really, really struggled, Kevin, in their last 10 or so games. This was a team that a lot of people thought were contenders coming into the year. And I'm not going to say they're not contenders now, but a 3-7 stretch in their last 10. Beal has only played 6 games, while Booker's only played 18 of their 27. And then KD has played the most of that group with 23. Their only starter, Kevin, to play all their games is Yusuf Nurkic. And another concerning thing that I mentioned before in the Grizzlies video, they played one game where KD, Booker, and Beal all played. So that is something that is a problem. You can't have that, especially when you expect to be a title contender.
And while the players and their skills or their record may not make them a title contender, I would like to say their actions as a front office have made them have title contender or bust connected to them because of what they did. You add these type of players and they've only played one together, that's nowhere where you want to be. I know that's obvious. And the thing that I want to add is you talk about how in this stretch they're not playing well. KD has played the most, but when you look at the minutes, this is from their 109-104 loss to Portland. KD is at 38 minutes. Booker is at 38 minutes. Those are two of your stars who have dealt with injuries. KD has dealt with injuries in the past. You're playing him minutes-wise. I'm not sure where I could find. I'm sure there's a stat for it, but how does KD rank in leading minutes? And what are you going to do with Beal? Are you going to put Beal? They probably would put Beal just because the lack of depth on this roster, given the moves that they made and the cap
There's
situation.
no way they could move Beal, though.
I'm not saying they move Beal, but when Beal comes back, they're probably going to play him 30 minutes a night, right?
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. And I guess technically speaking, they played 2 games together. They lost a game against the Nets where they all played, and in that game, Booker played a little over 40, KD basically played 38, and Beal played 33 minutes and 31 seconds. But their next game against the Knicks, Beal got hurt 4 minutes and 32 seconds into the game. So it's really just one game where they played the entire game. The other game, like I said, 4 minutes. That doesn't really count as a whole game. And those injury concerns we knew of before the year. And when is it time to panic? They're 10th in the West right now, and that if that holds, that would be enough for them to get into the playoffs if they won both play-in games. But that's not where you want to be, especially as a title contender. And when is it time to panic if it's not now?
I think the time is now to panic because Beal's out for a few more weeks, right?
Yes. When I heard the report, when he got hurt, it was going to be another 2 weeks. So it's probably like a week and a half now, maybe a week. I don't think he's going to be back until January. Early January, though, like January 1st, 2nd, 3rd.
And another thing I have is you bring up Yusuf Nurkic. I don't know how you feel about Yusuf Nurkic. How do you feel about Yusuf Nurkic as a player?
In general or this year or
this year? Yeah, and heading into the playoffs because I don't think he's going to be a huge contributor in the playoffs.
think he could be. In his playoff career, he's been fine. He's not usually the reason why you lose. Uh, and uh, he's been good for them this year as well. He's averaging 1.0 steals and 1.2 blocks, which is pretty impressive for him only playing 28 and a half minutes per game. He's averaging 12 and 10, 4 assists, basically 3.9 to be exact. He's played well. He's definitely been a very solid contributor for a team that definitely needs it with all the injuries that have occurred. But the problem is he's also dealt with his fair share of injuries over his career. And that's something I'm concerned about as well. Is while he's definitely playing very well, and I think if he plays like this during the playoffs, I think he could contribute and help them eventually become contenders. But the problem is he also deals with injuries. All four of their major players have injury concerns for this season. Even if Yusuf Nurkic played all of the games, there's no guarantee that that's going to continue.
Yeah, so my thing with Yusuf Nurkic is like I think he's a solid center. He could be starting somewhere, and he is starting with the Suns. And you mentioned his stats. It's when I think about playoffs and that matchups. So let's just go by the standings now. As we're recording, they're the 10th seed. They'd have a planned game against the Rockets. I think that Nurkic has an edge over the center for the Rockets.
No, I don't think he does. I think
Oh, you
Şengün's
don't?
better.
Oh, okay,
Alperen
Sengun.
Şengün.
Okay, got it. Okay, so that runs into a problem. But let's say KD goes off and they win. They're the 9 seed. They have to play the Lakers. Now, Anthony Davis has the edge there, clearly, defensively. So I don't feel Nurkic would have to play really well or to help
I don't
his
think
team.
that's the point, though, because you have KD that's going against LeBron. That should wash out. But then you have Taurean Prince versus Devin Booker and D'Angelo Russell versus Bradley Beal. So I don't think Yusuf Nurkic has to be necessarily amazing. He just has to be starter level. And we look at a lot of other Western Conference teams, like while Chet is better than Nurkic, I don't think the difference is so grand that he couldn't stay with them. Same thing with the Mavs. I think Yusuf Nurkic is better than Lively, and even if Mavs fans think Lively is better, the difference isn't enough for me to worry about Nurkic.
Okay, so would you say the Suns beat the Lakers?
Are they fully healthy?
Yes, I'm gonna
Everyone's
say
playing for both teams.
yes.
Yes, the Suns beat the Lakers.
Okay, so now let's go. In this scenario, you have the Timberwolves versus the Suns. Now, I feel you got Rudy Gobert playing well as a center defensively, but now you do have KD. KD's probably gonna dominate. Like I don't know who would guard KD.
It'd probably be Jalen McDaniel or Jaden McDaniels, and that'd be a tough matchup. The Timberwolves would probably end up winning it. But again, the difference between while Rudy Gobert is definitely a much better defensive player, Yusuf Nurkic can at least try to shoot threes, and he has some sort of jumper game. So I think it's not a wash, and Gobert is definitely better. The difference again isn't so much that I'm worried about it. The problem would be the power forward matchup, because who do you start at power forward for? Would it be KD at power forward against Cat? Would that be what you would do? I would assume, and then small forward would probably be either Grayson Allen, who's played well this year as well, or Eric Gordon. And then you'd have shooting guard Booker and point guard Beal. And Conley's played well for the Timberwolves this year, but I'd still give the edge to Beal. And then between Ant, I'd probably give the edge to Ant over Booker, at least at how Ant's played so far this season. But it's really going to come down to, are they healthy? And that's a problem that a lot of teams are worried about, but especially this Suns team that's so old, has so many injuries, and their problems can only be fixed by health.
Yeah, and so that's the way down the line view. Right now, how do they get through this? Their next game is against the Kings, against the Mavs, but the Mavs really have a lot of players out, so that will be an interesting matchup. Then they play the Rockets, Hornets, Magic, then Trailblazers again. But I feel they have to go on a run here, and that's just, and they're not the Kings are probably the toughest matchup out of all of this. All of their next 6 opponents.
Yeah, and the Kings are a great team, especially when Fox and Sabonis are playing at their best. And Sabonis will definitely be a tough matchup for Nurkic. But really, the problem is who's going to guard Fox and how are they going to adjust without their main guys? It's going to be tough without Beal because you traded so much depth to get Beal, and now that Beal's not playing, those injuries mount.
Yes, and they can't, to me, they can't solve the answer to their depth through the trade market. Like, what do they do?
You can't. Not with their situation as it currently is, especially because they don't have the cap space to add anyone. They would have to be veteran minimum guys, and unless you're trading away Beal or somebody else like that. But the problem is with that is you no one's going to take him for that contract, and I don't think they should trade Beal anyway. I think it'd be counterintuitive, but they're kind of stuck with who they have.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's fair to see, all right, this is all really what they have right now. This is what a playoff matchup would look like, but they got to get there, and I'm not sure if they can get there, and that's why I'm starting to panic right now.
Yeah, and understandably so. I definitely get it.
And that's all I got. I'll toss this over to you, and I'll let you close it out.
Yeah, so what do you guys think about the Suns? Can they save their season? Is it time to panic, or can we hold off until Beal gets back again? But thank you guys for listening.